Between the global pandemic and the weird that has been 2020, this year has already had its share of life-altering changes. But get this, the stars are just getting warmed up. Today, Gracie and I are going to discuss the rare alignment between Jupiter and Saturn, known as the Great Conjunction. I hope you're ready. Astrologers are saying this conjunction will shake things up politically, socially, and in your personal life. Like we need any more of that, right? But before we dive too deep, if you are a seeker of knowledge for all things of the weird, strange, and mysterious, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the Weird Realities channel and podcast, and set up a reminder so you get a notification when we upload new content. Gracie and I have a lot of exciting things coming up, and we'll be consistently adding new material. Now give the like button a comforting hug, grab your favorite beverage, and sit down and join us for today's discussion. Be sure to share any questions or comments when you're done, or email us at weirdrealities@gmail.com if you have any suggestions for future shows. And please share our channel with your weird friends. We're always looking to meet new people. All right, and Gracie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you, Hadley?
Pretty good. I know all this sounds intense, and that's because it kind of is. But the good news is, after a year of all of these seemingly impossible challenges, I'm so excited to say this cosmic sync up is going to give us a reason to be optimistic as we move toward to 2021. So I know we're talking about this great conjunction transit that is occurring tomorrow on the winter solstice and ending 2020 with an astrological bang. This cosmic event happens only every 20 years and refers to, I think, when Saturn, the planet, structure, systems, I think you have all that, don't you? I'm not really clear about it.
I do. So the cosmic event, yes, it occurs once every 20 years, but this year is even a rarer event because we do have the conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter and also Pluto. And we're going to talk about some of the additional weirdness here in a moment. But some astrologers, I'm hearing different astrologers depending on the way they interpret star charts. Some say that this is a 10,000-year event. Some people say it's a 5,000-year event. Regardless, we are in for a show.
Yeah, basically, from what I understand, these planets have nothing in common. So when they collide like this, they pack a big times or change in energy.
Yes.
So it's really exciting. I've learned so much the last couple of days reading up on this and preparing myself for this episode that I've just been astounded at, all the new stuff, which we'll talk about. So I know you wanted to give some background on the winter solstice. Is that correct?
Sure. So let's look at what is the winter solstice. Of course, it's the shortest day of the year, but it's so much more than just a few hours of lost daylight. During the winter solstice, the sun changes its celestial path through the sky starting on the 21st, and it's going to end on the 25th of December. So in other words, it's a solar reset that's going to change the sun's energy, And let's say it's setting the tone for the next year. So really the winter solstice is the birth of the sun and the birth of a new year. And I think in this case, as we talk about this subject, we're going to see that this is a birth of a new age.
Definitely. And it is no coincidence that there are so many holidays around the time of the winter solstice. Since ancient times, people have celebrated the solstice and observed it in a variety of different cultural and religious traditions. We have pagans celebrate Yule. We have, I think there's some Chinese, I can't, it's a Dolki, so it starts with a D, can't remember the name of it, festival that's around this time of year. There's all kinds of really interesting things. But you're right, the winter solstice does celebrate the longest hours of darkness or the rebirth of the sun, and it is believed by all to have a powerful energy for regeneration, renewal, and self reflection. The holiday timing is rooted, like I said, in ancient religions, and throughout history, humans have observed this annual milestone and created both spiritual and cultural traditions to honor the turning of the sun after the darkest period. And so it's a really good time as we move into 2021 to have this big cataclysmic Great Conjunction.
Well, I am really excited to get into this conversation. There's so much to tell, and there's so much happening tomorrow and over the next few days. So let's talk about the Great Conjunction. What exactly is going to happen? Tomorrow, on our winter solstice, we're going to have a Great Conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. So let's talk about why this is going to be such a rare and exciting event. So for the last 200 years or so, our celestial events have occurred in the sign of Capricorn. But tomorrow, we're going to move into the age of Aquarius. And if you look at your astrological meanings and signs, if you look at Capricorn, of course, it's an earth sign, and it's very grounded in law, in rules, and limitations. But as we know, Aquarius is ruled by love, higher consciousness, technology, and higher thoughts. So I think it's going to be helpful for us just to understand what these planets cosmically represent. So Saturn is ruled by Capricorn, and this is going to represent restrictions, limitations, rules, and ambition. Jupiter is its polar opposite. Jupiter represents expansion, travel, growth, understanding, and optimism. And I should mention that Jupiter has been restricted by Capricorn in 2020, and that has caused our travel to be restricted. And as we know this year, we have had limited travel in 2020 because of the pandemic.
Girl, ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? It's, you know, that happening and Jupiter being locked in Capricorn for the whole year, that has made a huge impact. You know, like we've talked about before, Hadley, if you translate astrology, it means as above, so below. And I think this is like a textbook case of that. And then finally, Pluto represents rebirth and regeneration. So to make this even more spectacular, the 2020 conjunction is going to happen at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And this is really significant. The 0 degree alignment is telling us that this is beginning of something new, the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And we're going to say the age of Aquarius probably about 50 times in this podcast. And please don't hate us if you get that song stuck in your head. It is not my fault. It is not Hadley's fault. It's just what we're talking about. So,
Gracie, I was astounded that you found anything about Pluto because I did not find anything about Pluto.
I think
And you know, I love Pluto, and Pluto's always going to be a planet and have a special place in my heart. But I did not find anything about Pluto in my research.
Poor Pluto, it's a planet. It's not a planet. It's a planet. I feel like Pluto does not get the love. It does not get the love it deserves.
It doesn't.
So we're marking the beginning of us being an air energy signs, which means we're moving out of earth energies. And the age of Aquarius, the age of these air energies, means advanced technology, intellectual social change, rapid social progression, and concepts that's going to reshape our entire political and socioeconomic system. And as these planets align, it's going to change the energies here on Earth. And the energies change depending on the ruling sign they're conjoining into. So I'd like to point out that this event is not a one-day occurrence. This is a fundamental shift in the way we're living. We are going into the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is change. So what kind of changes are you expecting, Hadley? Is there something you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm sure not many people know this, but I'm currently dealing with an elderly parent who's in the last stages of life.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's going to be a big transitional for me. The publication of my first novel is happening. I really thought long and hard on whether or not I wanted to release it in 2020 or not, but I thought with this positive energy that was a good time to do so. So the book's going to be debuting on Amazon on Wednesday the 23rd. So lots of big changes, life changes.
Absolutely.
And I found a quote yesterday, and let me see if I can find my book. I would read it to you, but I don't know where the book is. But it basically was this great quote that was talking about that not to get lost about where your destination is and what you expect to find when you get there, but rather to embrace the changes that you're going through on your way of getting there. And I thought, oh, I just love that, because life is not about the destination. It is really about the journey, and how beautiful it is that we get to go on this journey and have all these different experiences and meet these wonderful new people. And I mean, a year ago, I never would have thought that I'd be sitting here today having this conversation with you. We've been friends forever. So, but having this conversation where we could share it with so many people. And
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really, I have found that there's so many interesting people out there who have stuff to share and, are just kind of on the same brainwave that we are in our own little weird world. So what are you expecting, Gracie? I know you've got exciting things coming up, and I mean, what's going on with you?
Well, I am going to be in the process. I have made some life changes of my own, and I am going to be working on a new book next year. And I'm really excited about that. And I am excited about doing these podcasts with you, Hadley, and doing them more often and getting more content out to our listeners. And really keep diving into that world of the weird.
I know, right? And it's like every time we learn, and you come up with the most interesting things, because I mean, I'll be the first one to say astrology is not my forte. And getting into it really tied into some of the stuff that I do, which, I'm all about the solar flare pictures and taking pictures of the sun rays, and all of that kind of ties into some of the Age of Aquarius stuff that I found. And about this new earth that we're going to be stepping into. And because all these people that are on these lists that I'm on posting these pictures, they're like talking about DNA upgrades. And that was some of the stuff that I found in researching this, is that people like you and I, that, we're not newborns, that our DNA is having to catch up to go with the earth as she changes into this new vibrational field. And it was that babies are now being born with different DNA and that ours is having to catch up with it. And the people that aren't catching up with it, that they will be leaving this plane of existence. Which I saw, because my mind's constantly looking for ways to plug stuff into what I'm working on. And I thought, oh, wow, I wonder if this COVID-19 death thing that we're seeing, the death rates and all, if that plays into people not leveling up as we, move forward and we change our vibrational fields.
I think that's really interesting to think about, because we can think about, like you said, our DNA, we're not youngsters, we've been around the block a few times. And like for myself, my daughter, she's young and she is so innately gifted with technology and things that you and I didn't grow up with. And she can pick up a phone or tablet and start using it immediately.
Not this girl.
I get that. And it's amazing. And another thing too, and I like what you said, that the people that cannot adjust to these changes, and there's going to be a lot of changes, they may, quote unquote, drop out of society.
Well, and that's what I'm seeing with my family member that's going through this transitional life change with their health.
Mm-hmm.
And it said that the changes started around 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time period is when I started developing, and I know it's probably part of getting older, but I mean, I've gotten some really weird allergies and stuff that I'd never been allergic to. And this, as a Southerner, I'm allergic to onions, and that's an allergy that has developed in the last 10 years.
That's a hard allergy for a Southerner.
I mean, Southerners cook with onions, guys. I mean, that's just how it is. They cook with onions, and it's like when I tell people I've got an allergy to onions, they look at me like I've told them that I'm dying. It's like, no. It's like, yeah, it's an allergy.
You're like, bless your heart, Hadley. Bless your heart.
Bless her heart. She can't eat that.
She can't eat that.
And I'm not saying like, it's just it's a food seasoning that it's a base that you put in most everything you cook.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was a really interesting thing, this age of Aquarius and the leveling up and the energy and the new earth energies. And I don't know, I'll send you some of the stuff that I found because it was crazy good. But it really, because you've heard me talk about the pictures, which I don't know if y'all go and look at my Instagram, I occasionally will have these pictures where I go out and I take pictures of the sun. And all these people on these groups are like, have these orbs and these incredible photos. And so for every day for like a year, I took these photos and there was nothing. And I thought, okay, these people are faking it. But y'all, in the last, what would you say, since September?
Yeah, let's see.
My pictures have changed. And I have the orbs in them now. And I have flashes and I have stuff. And like, I'll see them floating around my head. And I don't know if this, again, has anything to do with my family member that's getting ready to cross over, or if it is a shift in energies or what. But I can tell you from someone who has taken daily photos and tried to recreate and tried to, look for, I'm very skeptical, I should say. As much as I'm a woo person, I am also very, very skeptical. And I can say that I've seen a big difference in the pictures.
Well, think about it. I mean, we've been in this age of Capricorn, this earth sign, for over 200 years. So really, most of the generations that are currently living today, we are wired to live in those earth signs. And I think we're going to see an instance, if you cannot adjust to these changes, you might not be able to keep up.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. And as someone who I think has one earth sign in their birth chart, out of all 12 houses, I have one earth. this is going to be really interesting, I think, for myself, because I'm not grounded at all, and I'm interested to see where I can fly to.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I was watching something on this topic, and what they're saying, like the last 200 years, being in earth signs, we've been really of the earth. I mean, we've advanced in agriculture, in building. We've built a huge interstate system. It's been very grounded. And what's going to happen when we move into a different energy that's more air-based, you know, we're going to really embrace that new technology.
Well, it should be something just incredible. I mean, I'm really excited to see what the coming years are going to be. And I know it's going to be a couple of years before we really get a taste of the age of Aquarius, but it should be fascinating to see.
It is. You know, it's not, like I just mentioned, it's not a one-day thing. This is a change in the way we look at the world, in the way we interact with the world.
Well, the phrase that I kept coming across was new earth, that we're going into a new earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I even saw things where they were talking about we're entering a new dimension. And you know, I go into some strange places when I start tooling around on the internet, and I found where they were saying that, like, galactically, that everyone's looking to us to watch the show. And they were talking about the star seeds, and the people who are on other planets and in other dimensions, that everyone's focused on what's happening with Earth, because it is the first time that a planet has made the shift to a new dimension. And I don't understand any of this, so I'm just parroting back what I was reading.
Exactly.
Because it's way beyond my understanding. But it was fascinating, and I really look forward to what we're going to find out.
Absolutely. And I just want to mention one more thing about the age of Aquarius and these air signs. Air signs are more feminine. You're going to feel a more feminine energy. And, you know, some astrologers are saying as we go into this new age and as the years go on, we'll probably see more female leaders, you know, kind of take to the stage across the world. And that's what I want to mention too. This is not just here, you know, this is globally. This is a global change. And I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen to everybody, because we have suffered a collective trauma over the last year. And what kind of lessons did we learn, and what are we going to take into this new age to use to our benefit? How can we make a better world from the mistakes that we've seen?
Well, a lot of the stuff that I was reading was talking about how was the only troubling thing I saw was it was talking about that there was going to be a lot of new rules, like regarding technology and things, and that there could be, you know, which I thought it was interesting because I saw where Instagram just updated their rules and regulations. Google's updating theirs. Everybody's updating their stuff, and that's one of the things that is talking about. There's going to be a lot more strict access and kind of a Big Brother feel to things, which I don't like. But at the same time, having my background in cybersecurity, I do know that on a lot of levels, people don't realize how lax things have been, and that we've got to really shut some stuff down in order to protect ourselves and our, you know, our nation from, you know, cyber attacks and stuff like that.
Exactly. So, and, you know, people don't realize even the way things are now with social media platforms, any kind of applications you use, those sites, those applications collect metadata on you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They already know everything they need to know.
Yeah.
You know, it seems very oppressive, but it's kind of one of those things. There's nothing new.
Well, it's like in healthcare, you know, whenever you do one of those DNA tests, you're giving them access to your DNA.
Yes, just let me get me started about that one. I mean, I've done it, but I have heard that certain DNA analysis companies actually share with things like Facebook and Google, and they actually share that information, or they sell that information to pharmaceutical companies. So
yeah, I mean,
there, I hate to say this, but there's really no such thing as privacy anymore.
there's really not.
You know. And another thing I want to mention too, so tomorrow we have that the Great Conjunction with the 3 planets aligning in Aquarius. There's also going to be a meteor shower tomorrow night.
Oh, I didn't know about that either.
Yes, I just found that out a couple hours before we came online here. And another thing, and that has been picked up by the mainstream media, and they've kind of picked up on the Wyrd, and they have started to put stories out there about the extreme close alignment of Saturn and Jupiter. And according to news reports, these 2 planets are going to be so close, it's going to appear that they're one bright star. And they were drawing parallels and saying that the bright conjunction that we're going to see tomorrow night is the Star of Bethlehem. So, you know, you can make your own conclusions about that, and how you feel about that. I think it's a very interesting topic, but I think it can get very, how do I say it, complicated.
Yes, I agree. This historically, there's an issue for me with that, is that Jesus was not born in December. So, you know, there's that. Now, the astrological part of it is that there could have been an incredible event such as the Great Conjunction that happened at the time of Jesus' birth. I don't know, not my thing, but I will say it didn't happen in December.
The reports
That's
are
pretty much all I have to say about it. Is like I said, going back to the winter solstice, it historically is a time when weird things happen. That's why Stonehenge was built. You know, that's why we have these monoliths like Stonehenge.
Exactly. And the reports are a little bit all over the place. So, you know, just read them for yourself, and, you know, interpret it how you know, feel that is appropriate for you.
Well, that's what I try and tell everybody. Keep an open mind, listen to everything, but what resonates with you is your truth.
Exactly.
And stick with your truth, because what resonates with you might not resonate with me.
Exactly.
And, you know, find your own truth and just live it, man.
Exactly. Embrace it. So the next thing I want to talk about, in the research and looking around online, a lot of experts feel that 2020 is the new 2012. And, you know, we all remember 2012. Wasn't it crazy, Hadley? Like, everybody stopped hauling food and thinking that this is it. And I remember in 2012, there was a huge uptick of people buying old nuclear silos as shelters.
Yeah, there was.
Do you remember that? Like, people were building these bunkers, and I mean, in
2012, I was living at Fort Bragg, so I don't think I was really paying attention to much of this. But
I was just tired. I just wanted to sleep. Like, if it was it, at least I could sleep.
Really, you know.
This is it.
Well, I think that one of the things that is, again, it's the end of the age of Aquarius, which that could have been what the Mayan calendar was documenting.
Right.
We'll never know unless we can ask them. They can't tell us.
Exactly.
You know?
So some researchers online said that when we converted over to the Julian calendar, we miscalculated. And 2020 is actually what 2012 would have been if we had been consistent with the older calendars, the ones that we used to use.
Like, you know what I have to say to that, guys? You had one job.
You had one job.
One job. You screwed it up, and look what you did to us. Now, everyone was prepared 8 years ago.
So, like, I would like everybody to think about this. So, what if 2012 was actually the start of this process? A long 8-year cycle that didn't predict the end of the world. It actually was predicting a cosmic shift to our consciousness.
I did a class a long time ago on the end of the mind calendar. And the information that I came across and I have stood by was that there was a cusp, and that we have been living in a cusp between the end of one age going into the next. And now that we're entering the age of Aquarius at 0 degrees, that's where we're at. We've been in that cusp time period, or a shadow time, or whatever you want to say it. But I mean, if you think about it that way, and you think about your shadow self and a shadow side, it makes a lot of sense, because the last couple of years have been incredibly chaotic, there's a lot of division, a lot of chaos, a lot of, just crazy. People, as much as there is good in the world, and I'm not going to say there's not, because I see a story every day that makes me believe in mankind. There has been probably 5 that makes you think, what is up with these folks? People are not kind to one another like they used to be.
No.
And I don't know if it is because of technology. People are losing that sense of kinship that we had when we, had to communicate with people. But in graduate school, one of the papers that I wrote was on the fact that 9 people, let's say 10 people can read the same thing in an email, and 9 people will read something totally different than what the person intended. They will automatically read it in a voice, put it in a tone, have an expectation out of it that was not the intention of the person who wrote it. And we can get into all of the ESP of that at another point, because that's not what my comment's about. My comment's about the fact is you can't read somebody's face. You can't read their body language. You can't hear the tone of their voice. So you really are implying a lot of things on somebody's email. How many times, and I've gotten to the point too, I used to be much better about, and I still try to talk to people on the phone more than texting. But when you're communicating with me in a emoji type environment, I don't get it like, someone who's born 10 years later than me might be more accepting of it. I mean, if someone sends me a thumbs up, sometimes I think they're just being a jerk,
Right. Well, the later generations, millennials, Zoomers, or Generation Z, whatever they're being called nowadays, they have different expectations about communication, and they have different expectations about everything. Like if you call a Zoomer, they're just going to look at the phone like it has, grown little scales and has slithered away.
Well, and I can't say anything because as an introvert, I don't really want to talk on the phone either. But I would rather have someone hear me say it than interpret it for me.
Well, what's frustrating to me is like sometimes you can get in these long, text message strings, and they go on, 20, 25 texts. But you know what? I could have taken care of it in probably about a 10-minute phone call.
Exactly.
And it was all straightforward.
Exactly.
We're all on the same page. So this is just, Grandma Gracie. Her
we're so old.
Get off my lawn moment.
Yeah, I know we're kind of dating ourselves with it, but I miss the telephone. I miss going to coffee with people. I miss having that one-on-one connection.
I know. And it's like you start talking about something like you would like to do, and you're like, oh no, I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
You just catch yourself. But I mean, I am optimistic. You know, 2021 is probably still going to be a pretty rough year, but I'm optimistic beyond that. And
It's going to be interesting to see how 2021 shapes up. I see a lot of people, I mean, it's almost like they think that New Year's Eve is they're going to wake up on New Year's Day 2021 and it's going to be back like reset. Like
yeah, big old reset
2020 was like Groundhog Day. So, I don't know. It should be interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting, time.
And, some of the things I read, we're talking about this may be the apocalypse, but I would like to leave everybody with this thought. So if you actually look up the meaning of apocalypse, it's a Greek word. It actually means uncovering. So we can maybe say that an apocalyptic event may not be the end. It may not be doom and destruction. It may actually be an awakening, an unveiling that's going to reveal what's been hidden. And doesn't that really sum up the age of Aquarius to you, Hadley? I mean, we're uncovering what's been hidden.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that is a great way to segue into my book, because my book is all about other worlds coming into one.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things that I really am passionate about seeing in the next coming years and everything is, like, right now, starting tomorrow, the veils between the world are at their thinnest. And that's one of the things with this Aquarius age, entering into the age of Aquarius, is again, the veil between the worlds is thinning. And that is a very strong theme, if not the theme of my book. And I had no idea when I was writing it, because I'm just writing the story that's coming to me,
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked before that I'm more of an organic writer than someone who's going to sit down and make notes. And I just put pieces together of things that I hear and like and see. And I don't know, girl.
Well, I'm going to
it's exciting times.
It is exciting. And I want to give everybody an honest review of Hadley's book. It is absolutely amazing. And I suggest everybody go to Amazon right now today. It is available for pre-order until the 23rd. And after the 23rd, go look it up and it'll be ready for instant download. And you're not going to regret it. It is an amazing read. And you've done an amazing job, Hadley, bringing this world to life.
Well, I had a great team of supportive people behind me. So I give them all the credit for making my dream come true. It's been great. I look forward to writing many more. And I'm just going to say this, guys. It is a promotional offer right now. If you have Kindle Unlimited for, I'm not sure how long, there's no charge. You can just download it and read it. If you do, please leave a review. Like I said, not so much about making money about this. I just want to tell my story, and I want y'all to read it and share that part of my world with me. So, like I said, it's got a little bit of, it's got a whole bunch of the veil. It's got a whole bunch of magic. It's urban fantasy, and it is going to be the start of a great series that the second book is going to be more for the guys. It will be coming out hopefully in January. So I'm not going to make y'all wait too long for a follow-up.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm just so excited to see this out there, and I think it's going to be an amazing success.
Well, that is a lot thanks to you, Miss Gracie Ellison, because you are my wonderful editor, and you're also my strongest fan. So
we can't get through life without one another.
I do think that our amazing producer, Lauren Smith, is going to be reaching out to my beta readers to kind of talk with them to see what their thoughts were. Lauren actually was one of my beta readers. Like I said, it takes a village to raise a child, and everyone raised the book with me. She's an amazing lady. I can't wait for y'all to get to know Lauren better. She's really probably I say, the busiest lady in the weird and wonderful world of podcasting because she likes to keep it weird. She is all about her Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. She's been doing it since I think 2009. She took the reins over from her mother. Um, Lauren is just a fascinating girl, and she is now doing Planet Fear with Matt Knapp. Y'all might know him from Bigfoot Crossroads. He's a great guy, very well known in that community as well. And they're doing a show called Planet Terror, which is going to be pretty interesting as well. But I think we're running out of time. So I'm going to skip forward and say, guys, season's greetings from our weird family to yours. We love you guys. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. You know where we're at. Just hit us up. And we appreciate you. Happy holidays, and we love you.
And thank you. Bye-bye.